to your phone.
New tonight, a judge handing down the max punishment to Gavin Peterson's stepmother.
News specialist Garna Mejia has been following this case and was inside the courtroom today. Garna, we also had a push alert on this. What a difficult day. Tell us what the judge had to say.
Again, you guys, an incredibly emotional day today. That courtroom was packed as Judge Camille Nider talked about this being one of the most awful cases that she's ever presided over, and said that this was like something that she has been reading in a history book about World War II and atrocities committed against humanity, describing Nicole Lee Scott's behavior as similar to that kind of conduct. Now, Judge heard from prosecutors and victims who said that even today, Nicole Scott has shown no signs of remorse, only remorse at being caught. The victim's attorney said that Nicole was worse than Cinderella's stepmother, as a judge read from a report on how cameras were placed in Gavin's room to oversee his torture and starvation for more than a year. There were also text messages of Nicole using expletives instead of Gavin's name and expressing her hatred for this little boy.
You were the architect of all of this. You knew exactly what was going on with that little boy. And the consequences, I don't think you cared about. You did everything you could to strip Gavin of his humanity.
The courtroom today silent. At times we heard tears and sobbing as a judge read a report about Gavin's autopsy. There were also moments of frustration in the courtroom when Nicole Scott cried and said she was sorry, but then attempted to deny what the investigation found. Now, Nicole Scott was sentenced to a minimum of 20 years in prison to the rest of her life. The judge says that she's going to really highly recommend that she stay in prison for the rest of her life. The judge also took time to address victims' family members and the lunch ladies who tried to help Gavin. I'll have more on that coming up at 6. I'll send it back to you.
Heartbreaking. All right. Thank you very much, Garna. Tonight at 10, KSL investigate
Home.
KSL News at 6 starts now.
Good evening. The stepmother of a boy who died from child abuse, Gavin Peterson, has been given the maximum sentence for his murder.
The judge requesting here she never be released. News specialist Garna Mejia was in the courtroom, also gathering reaction from lunch ladies and family members alike. Garna?
Yeah, you guys, being in that courtroom was difficult. There was silence punctuated by tears and sobbing as a judge described Gavin's torture as something that prisoners of war experienced during World War II. Another attorney saying that Nicole Scott is worse than Cinderella's evil stepmother, saying that she has shown no signs of true remorse.
That tells you
like that.
It's my turn to talk. I believe it did happen like that. He was trying to live.
As the judge described the horrific starvation and torture of 12-year-old Gavin Peterson, his stepmother, Nicole Lee Scott, tried to deny the disturbing findings from the investigation.
Gavin did pass away in my care. I should have done better by him.
The judge again grew emotional when she spoke to Gavin's mother and sister, acknowledging their grief and encouraging them to create a space of healing in honor of Gavin.
Someplace for you to grieve. A garden.
The judge acknowledged the lunch ladies and school staff who tried to help and feed Gavin. They are now pleading for legislative changes to protect other children.
My disappointment with about Governor Cox and this year's legislation, that more things were done.
And another really poignant moment was when the judge spoke to those lunch ladies and told them that their instincts were correct in reporting Gavin's abuse to DCFS. Now, Nicole Scott is expected to be in prison for a minimum of 20 years to the rest of her life. In Ogden, I'm Garna Mejia, KSL 5 News.
Garna, thank you. New at 6, Congresswoman. Thanks, Dan.
New developments in the torture and murder of 12-year-old Gavin Peterson. A judge is hitting his stepmother with the most severe punishment that she can.
You were the architect of all of this. You did everything you could to strip Gavin of his humanity.
The judge and many others in the courtroom became emotional today. There was also frustration as Nicole Scott cried, saying that she was sorry and denying the results of the investigation. In all, Scott's consecutive sentences add up anywhere between 20 years to life in prison.
Crooks are faking.